Podcast, TruthSeekah's podcast. Buckle up, everyone. We're going to talk aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spiritual and paranormal. From all of the three moons, beyond your wildest dreams. Dead Tony. Nice.
TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark savage stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah Podcast. I'm excited and delighted to be with you guys again today. Got an awesome show lined up. We talk about all things spiritual here, leaving no stone unturned. We're going to cover it all. Today's going to be good. Make sure you hang around. Give a shout out to everybody hanging out with us in chat all over the place. Whatever podcast app you're listening on, whatever live streaming device that you're checking this out on, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, man, shout out to you guys. You guys make this show a lot more fun when we got an audience interacting with us. Also, huge thank you to everyone supporting the work through Patreon. This is a listener supported funded show. It doesn't exist without your help, so thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for believing in the work. I want to give a shout out to some of the latest patrons within the last week or so. Shout out to Crix, what up, man? Thank you for coming on. Crix Lopez. Shelby, what up, Shelby? Thank you. Shirley Moore, Tyra Bledsoe, and Blake Clark. Thank you guys for coming on. You guys are the enablers, and you're awesome. So if you would like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music, 200 plus songs, all about the topics and things that we discuss on the podcast. I cover it all, even today's subjects. We have a song, and maybe I should play the song at the end because I have a song about today's subject, so I need to write that down, and because it's old, not a lot of people know about it, but there is a song about this. It'll be good. But yeah, my entire discography is available at Patreon. And you get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics, which is the community aspect to what we're building here, guided meditations and things like that. Just check it out, patreon.com/TruthSeekah. I haven't been working on a lot of music lately. I really want to feel inspired. I don't want to just kind of go through the motions and mechanically put out a song. So it's kind of been hard to be inspired. I've been listening to beats and trying to find things that pique my interest, and really been a dry season with the music, except for yesterday. Got to work on some music yesterday, and it'll be on Patreon very soon. So if you're a patron, you get access to that months before it's released to the general public. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Also, wow, just knocked things over. My new book, Spirit Realm, Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God, forward by Jordan Maxwell, is here. You go to Amazon and pick that up, and it kind of, I don't know if my guest knows it, but it kind of covers a little bit of the subject. I have some ideas and some questions about sleep paralysis is what we're going to be talking about today. And I got a chapter about it in here. And so I'm going to bring some questions and some ideas to the table for my guest today. My guest today is Sheila Pryce. Sheila, welcome to the TruthSeekah Podcast, my friend. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well and feeling really honored to be here. And I'm excited about this book. And I'm looking forward to the questions. I'm going to definitely see if I can get a copy of the book. Sounds really good.
Heck yeah, and I'm gonna do the same for you. I'm gonna get your book. I haven't got it yet, but I've been checking out your website and some of your videos, and there's some explainer videos and things like that too. And I just try to get an overview of the guests. So when you sent me the email and the topic and checked you out, I was like, oh yeah, we could definitely do a show on this. So I try to just do an overview and getting some questions together. And when I was doing some research on what you bring to the table, it's a little bit different than most, but I think there's some commonalities with some beliefs and things that I have come up with studying sleep paralysis and having my own experiences as well. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I guess for those people who don't know who you are, just introduce yourself really quick and let people know who you are, what you bring to the table.
Okay, so I'm Sheila Pryce Brooks. As you mentioned, I've got a website out there, www.SheilaPryceBrooks.com. And I'm out there on Twitter and Facebook, Insta, on all the usual channels. I'm a spiritual life coach. I'm an author. I'm also a speaker as well. So I do quite a lot of different things. I do quite a lot of things that really make people more aware, enhance them more spiritually, align them, not just with their purpose, but their higher self. And I think one of the big things that I want to do is bring more awareness and understanding and insight to the topic of sleep paralysis and provide support to those who are really confused and don't know what the heck's going on. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of things, a few things going on.
Yeah, you've covered the topic, researched the topic extensively, and so I want to get into it. So, and you've got some explainer videos and things like that. First of all, I want to go ahead and plug your book while the people here at the beginning of the episode. Your book is Beyond the Nightmare: How to Transcend Sleep Paralysis and Awaken Your Spiritual Gifts. It's funny how we tie these together, and I think that's some of the strings that I have.
Most what you may be able to do, you may be able to make a noise in your throat because you can't, or you feel like you can't open your mouth. So you might be able to make a noise in your throat, a groan or a grunt or something like that. If you're fortunate, you can perhaps move a little finger, a little toe or an eyelid, and it seems to break the spell when you do that. The moment you do that, the experience stops. You're back into waking mode, and you wake up out of that experience, that sleep state. You wake up, you're shaken, you're saying, whoa, what the heck just went on? What just happened there? Because it's really quite surreal, because you know that it wasn't a dream. You weren't dreaming. I mean, there were no characters, there's no storyline, there's no plot. It was just you and this experience or this entity, because the whole thing felt very foreboding, very otherworldly like, and there have even been times when I've been able to see almost like some kind of an entity on top of me, on my chest, just sitting there, just hovering around me. So when you're awake that this thing was very freakish, and you've got no frame of reference. What do you attach it to? What just happened? You don't know, but you're left very shaken. I think for me, not even I think, definitely for me, it freaked me out so much that I was afraid to sleep, because I just had this thing. I knew for sure, I felt like they're coming to get me. They're going to get me when I'm sleeping, you know. And for all of us, that's when we are most vulnerable, because you don't expect anything to kind of intrude on you like that when you're sleeping. It was a clear invasion for me. That was how I was left feeling. And I was powerless. I felt powerless to defend myself, because how do you defend yourself when you're sleeping? Because you don't have that ability to physically fight something off or shout at it or whatever it is. In fact, it was the opposite. I felt really victimized and felt as though, because I was paralyzed as well, it's almost like the game had shifted. I was no longer operating by these physical day-to-day rules. I was in a different territory, and I was completely unable to defend myself against this. It happened regularly, I should say, 2, 3, maybe even 4 times each week it was happening, and it broke my sleep. So I was very, very tired. But at the same time, I was fighting sleep because I didn't want it to happen again. So it's a pretty phenomenal experience. And I think because there isn't much out there about sleep paralysis, no one really kind of clearly understands it 100%. I know that I was feeling very isolated, very alone with these experiences, and no one was there able to help me when it was going on. So that's basically the experience.
You've explained the experience. How old were you when this first happened to you? I was 4. I was in my early 20s. Wow. When it first happened in that way, I think there were maybe other signs and signals and things that were going on before then. But the experiences that really disturbed me happened in my early 20s. Did it change your life? Did it change your life in the trajectory that of the course of where you were headed? Did it? Because, I mean, we're having this talk now. You've got a book about it. I mean, it had to really be impactful to you, right?
What happened was that, no, it didn't change my life at the time. I was resistant, I think is the word, to the experience, and stayed focused, like a dog with a bone on this is maybe something evil. I need to read my Bible more. If I pray more, this will go away. It will stop if I put in certain actions to counteract this evil experience that is happening to me. I was fixated on no one's going to know about this. Maybe I've got some curse going on. Maybe some entity is after me and no one's going to know. I'm not going to share this. I'm going to put on a facade. I'm going to go to work every day. I'm going to smile. I'm going to do what I've got to do. And I'm going to kind of deal with this my way, on my own. At the time, only my immediate family in my house knew, husband and children. And they were on standby. Should mum make any noises in the night or when she dozes off, wake her immediately. That was the rule in the house. Mother didn't know, father didn't know, sisters and brothers didn't know what was going on. And I was determined to stay rigidly where I was at that point in terms of thinking about good versus evil, and I needed to get rid of this evil. And in order to do that, I was trying to fight it with tools that I thought I could use, like having crosses everywhere, like Bibles were placed everywhere, changing my sleeping times, changing where I slept. I tried to use different tools like that not going beyond that train of thought to kind of broaden my spirituality, so to speak. I was stuck at that place, not realizing that the more I was stuck, the more it was happening. The more I resisted, the more it was happening. I wasn't allowing myself to go beyond that belief. I looked in books. I searched on the internet. I went to doctors, still stuck at that place that I needed to get rid of this evil thing, this thing that was happening to me at when I slept, not realizing that I had missed the point, really. And maybe we'll get onto that a bit later, but that was where I was. So it made no difference on work, on family, on social life. It was a little dark secret, I think, that I was keeping at the time.
Yeah, and that's for a lot of people. There's a lot of people that they don't want to tell anybody. They think they're going to sound crazy. There was an experience where my sister was having a late night conversation with her boyfriend, like talking about God and what do you believe, in one of those conversations. And she was telling him about my spirituality and my walk and stuff. And she told him about my sleep paralysis experience when I was a little kid. And she told him about that, and he just broke into tears. He was 30-something years old, and he had never told anybody because he thought that he would, who won't talk about it. But I'm on medicinenet.com, and they say that once considered very rare, up to half of all people now believe to experience sleep paralysis sometime during their life. So 1 out of every 2 people have experienced sleep paralysis. That's a large number. We think it's kind of rare, but it's something that a lot of people have experienced. So from you, I know you have went deep into this. What was it? What was going on, or what is going on when it comes to the subject of sleep paralysis?
So, and just to say, before I go on to that I would definitely share what you've just said. In terms of the amount of people that have experienced it. Because since I've started to speak about it, so many people have come forward and sharing their experiences as well, whether it's a one-off or an ongoing experience. So, yeah, it's very, very common. But for me, what's happened is the sleep paralysis allowed a transition. And when I say a transition, I had reached a point very clearly, I recall, when I had said that I can't do this anymore, that where I had said it's like a do or die situation. And what then happened was, over maybe a period of a month, the episodes slowed down. But what happened was, when I went to sleep, I found that I was having more lucidity during my dreams. And I hope that your listeners really don't think I'm crazy.
No, they're very open. I'll say that much, and they come from all walks of life. So
I was having more lucidity. I was able to go to different places in my sleep. I was able to be dreaming and watch my dream. So there was like a me and a me. I was able then, I would wake up, I would know certain things, I would understand certain things. I started to have these downloads of information, knowledge, things that I didn't know about before. All of a sudden, I would be speaking about them. You know, there was a transition, and it was almost as though through that release, I was then able to access this other spiritual realm quite easily. It was as though the sleep paralysis was a calling, a doorway into a different dimension. And this dimension exists around us, but in our physical bodies, we can't see it and experience it in a physical way, but there is a non-physical way and a non-physical part of all of us, which I can clearly see as that energetic part of us, which can be accessed when we sleep. And sleep provides a doorway, a gateway to this other dimension that most of us we sleep. We don't know, we don't recall when we wake up what's gone on. Some of us have fragments of it, fragments of that experience of what we got up to, so to speak, non-physically. And some of us can recall it very, very clearly and tap into that world when we sleep. And we wake up with very clear memories of what we did and what we didn't do. It goes into the realm of astral projections and lucid dreamings and being able non-physically to engage non-physical and that non-physical realm that definitely does exist. So, and I've come out of it with that very clear knowing. And when I'm writing, I say that sleep paralysis is a gift. Not everyone experiences it. Not everyone has that energetic acuity to engage at that level. So if you do experience sleep paralysis, it means that energetically or vibrationally, you have that ability to engage, not just with non-physical and the non-physical realm, but also tap into those gifts that come with it, the gifts of being clairvoyant and claircognizant and knowing certain things and listening to things that other people can't hear and feeling, being that empathy and having that level of emotion. You're able to tap into these non-physical gifts because you have that level of spiritual acuity. If you experience sleep paralysis. So there's far more going on when you experience sleep paralysis than you would ever know, than you would ever think of. Because the spiritual realm and what happens there, there's just so much to it and so much going on. But you have the ability to tap into it, should you so desire.
I could see how it would, like, by default, just from a conscious standpoint, make you more apt to understanding the dream state, what's going on when I'm sleeping, because most people, when it's time to go to bed, they get tired, they just go to sleep. Now there's this extra emphasis after you have an experience on my dreams. I need to be careful. Maybe they're coming for me. All of these different ideas for you just by default to study the dreams, and you feel like you're more conscious of it. I mean, that's what literally at 4 years old happened to me, and it changed my life because it marked me, if you will. You said it felt like a calling, a beckoning, something reaching out to you from the other side. I think that what would hold people back from that is because for most people it's a traumatic experience. There's demons there. There's, old ladies screaming in their face. There's a man in the corner wearing a top hat. There's all of these crazy demonic type entities. And so they automatically assume that this experience was demonic, or demons are trying to get me when I sleep, like you experienced. Where did that shift from being something that was from the devil, something from Satan, to being something that was going to be used for your good, something that was going to be able to benefit you? When did you come to that understanding that it was something positive versus a negative experience? It was almost
like you'd switch a switch on and off, a light switch on and off, that it went from one to the other. It was in the moment that I released the fear. And for me, the fear turned to anger, turned to I wanted to confront And I did it on it wasn't something that I was talking about or shouting about. It was very internal. And I know for me, I was very angry and I was tired of being controlled in this way. So I had built up this resilience and it obviously stayed with me when I was sleeping. And it came out when I was sleeping that I said no more. We build up reasons to be afraid, and the fear controls us even when we are sleeping, and we put that fear into a framework. So what frightens one person may not frighten another. So whatever makes sense to us, we create that fear for us, which is why that the sensation that it gives us one of evil, and it's based on the evil that we have constructed around us. So your thoughts of evil are based on something that you've seen in a manifested form, that you've embodied that. So when you are sleeping, that sense of evil and foreboding comes across to you, and it gives you a framework from which to function, to express that emotion.
Why is the entry through fear, though? It's so weird that it shows up in this scary, fear state versus and a beautiful angel that shows up. Come on, my dear, journey to the other side. Like it's this demon is confronting you,
you can kind of think of different reasons. For me, I see as there are good and bad forces out there. All right. So there are forces that would not want you to go through the doorway. So, and it's to their advantage if you don't go through the doorway. Yet there are forces that want you to go through that doorway and experience those wonders and that love. So therefore, there is a tug of war going on to get you through. And so the fear will prevent you moving forward, and that fulfills some agendas. So you have to work past the fear. It will only have power if you allow it, if you give it permission to control you, like I did. I did for the best part of 30 years. I did that, So, and I let it had me rigid. It had me fixed at that point until I decided to shift, and it was no longer fear. I wasn't afraid anymore. The fear had transmuted into anger and self-defense and confrontation, and it was literally a do-or-die situation. Yeah. And I had taken that energy into the sleep mode, and it transmuted. And I still refer to them as they. They could no longer come to me in that format because I wasn't allowing them. Yes. It's
like these entities that we've all encountered. I say all, half of us have encountered, are gatekeepers. Like you're being, so I want to make sure we set this up right just to understand it. So it's like you're being called to the other side because you have a calling, you have a destiny, you are a healer, a light worker, you're here to serve humanity, but you have to go through the veil. But there are guardians, there are gatekeepers that you must get through first in order to tap into that. And most of the time they scare you away. They scare you away from your calling. I don't want to touch anything spiritual. I don't want to look into spirituality. I want to stay away from it because there's this fear, because when you tap in, you got to deal with these monsters. Is that kind of how it is for you?
Yes, that's exactly it. I mean, I would say that I would say also that fear begets more fear. Yeah, and it's also it's almost as though there are two levels of gatekeepers. There are the ones that don't want you to pass, and then there are the ones that are beckoning you to pass. Mm-hmm. And energetically, you're at that level where you're ready to progress, and they want you to progress. But then there are these other ones that are blocking the gateway by keeping you there in your fear. And they gain their power through that, through stopping you, and satisfaction through that. But the lighter ones are calling you. They want you to come. They want you to recognize who you are, what you are, and transcend. Yeah. You know, fear isn't real. It's like a glass, a mirror. You just shatter it and then progress. It's very, very simple once you come to that understanding. And I think that there's something there about, for persons who experience sleep paralysis, the moment you shift your framework, shift your mind, shift your mindset, the experience will be seen differently. But you've got to embody that shift and believe that shift. And then the experience will be different and will be transmuted into the love and light that exists beyond that, And once you do that, you'll start to experience things in the same way that I did. And I think also, just to say that for persons who experience sleep paralysis, I would expect them to have already had indicators, things about them that they're aware of that put them in this higher energetic category. So they may already have had kind of things happen around them that make them think that, whoa, this is a bit weird. How did I know that? Why is this? Why am I experiencing that? Those gifts, those extrasensory gifts would already be showing themselves, even though you've not acknowledged them in that way. You would just see them as random episodes, freakish experiences that you would have had. And it's not until you start to put the pieces together that you then may start to see the pattern and say, there is something a bit different about me spiritually, where I can engage with non-physical. And non-physical have been trying to speak to me for a long time now, but I've just not been listening. My awareness hasn't been there. And through that may then help you to shift your mindset and start to come into the person that you truly are.
Whenever we are having a spiritual awakening, or there's an order, there's a pecking order, if you will, on the other side, and most of us start off at the bottom, and the bottom are the scary guys. There are the lower level entities, and as you transcend your spiritual process, you get better. You're able to raise your frequency, start doing positive actions, alms in your life that kind of let you vibrate at a higher frequency. Once you tap into those realms, you're going to be able to encounter and communicate with those entities that are at that level of frequency. Most people, I would say, when they first start out, they've got unhealthy addictions in their life. Maybe they're lying, cheating, and stealing. And then when they tap in, whether even if it's through meditation, which is kind of hacking the dream state, right? Kind of, bypassing it, going straight into REM and all of that kind of stuff. And you're tapping into that realm, interacting with demons. And some people, they get scared. They interact with demons and they never touch it again. But I think that the once you do the inner work and you understand what's going on in your life and how these things are symbolic, you're able to kind of go up the ladder and deal with these loving, beautiful entities that have been calling you from the beginning. And they're here to help you, guide you in those things. But you got to deal with the lower level stuff first. And they are I think, reflections of things that are going on in your life. And there's some people in chat here who are saying that they are just reflections of yourself, these different types of entities. And just like you kind of said that these entities show up because you kind of give them a face of what you're scared of. And while you were speaking, I'm like going back to my childhood and trying to see like what came first, because I know I had this crazy sleep paralysis at 4 years old that scared me to death, and I'm doing what I'm doing today because of something that happened when I was 4. 100%. It just like a progression. They were calling me, I tapped in. It was scary at first, I did it wrong, but this spiritual progression that unfolded in my life was because of that. But I remember like having this traumatic experience of watching a scary movie as a child too. And I don't know which came first. Now I'm thinking it may have came that traumatic movie that I watched that scared the hell out of me, that my dad made me watch, may have been first, and then opened up a door to give sleep paralysis a face to wake up in the middle of the night and be encountering these types of entities. It's very interesting. What I want to ask you though is like, who is it on the other side? Like that's calling you? Is it God? Is it the angelic? Is it our ancestors? Who is it Jesus? Like who's beckoning from beyond the veil to return to your true essence, to find out who you are and walk in your calling? Who is it on the other side that you've encountered?
I know that I have a team around me, a non-physical team, who are made up of energies that have so much love for me. And I know that we all have that. You have that. Each one of your listeners, you all have that. They are always around, and they want the best for you. There is just so much love there constantly. Now, there is an order of things, non-physically. I mean, they are also surrounded by a higher level team, and the higher level team are surrounded by a higher level team. And it's all from this original source, this source of love. And I talk about love and light. And it's from that original source that this order then is applied, and each one of us can benefit from that and tap into that. We are sometimes so absorbed in our day-to-day physical doings that we ignore the signs of this team who are there working for us. We're so busy getting things done, gotta do this, gotta do that. Pressures that we put on ourselves, that we think that our lives are made up 100% of our physical activities. Whereas we have this team who are there constantly watching and guiding and working with us to align us with our higher selves, because we are non-physical first and foremost before we are physical. This team can see very much the non-physical you, the core you, the person who you want to be, the person who you aspire to be, the best that you are. That's how they see you. Now, I tend to stray away from the word God. He, up there, heaven, those types of things, I stray away from. And think again that they are constructs that we have created and put things in a particular framework or a box. But without a doubt, there is a core source, omnipresent energy that is 100%, 1,000% made up of goodness and love. For everybody, for everything, which is why you look around and all there is just abundance, abundance, abundance. that we can tap into. And that is, we all share a part of that. The energies are all overlapping. We're all one energetically. We all come together and we're all part of that source energy, that source light. So the guides that we all have, they're working for us and with us. They're like our best mates. They're always there. They never switch off. They're working with the higher you and are constantly tapping you, calling you, which is why when you're in your depths of depression and alcoholism or whatever it might be, when you're really down, you're trying to reach out of it because you're being called by your higher self and by the energies around you to come out of it. They're constantly kind of giving you this helping hand, and that's what's around us 24/7, never leaving us. It's always there. The issue is free will. Nothing will be done unless you want it done, unless you ask. You have to ask non-physically for it to be done. I mean, you can ask verbally, but you've got to feel it. You've got to want it to be done, because there is that golden rule that it's not going to happen unless you want it to happen. And your non-physical energies around you will tap into that, will tap into your higher self and call you towards what you're asking for. I hope that's helped to explain the calling and this kind of godlike force, even though it's not a god, it's not a person, there's no physical description. But there have been times when I've tapped into just so much love. It's overwhelming. The feeling, it just kind of, it's all encompassing. It just kind of swamps you, this love, and that's what's calling you all the time, and that's what's there for you all the time.
Yeah, I think with religion and God and things like that, and Jesus and angels and even names of angels, I mean, all of this kind of stuff, it's like we're trying to explain it. It's like we're being told don't explain it, but because you can't, but yet we want to talk about it, and we need like points of reference, whether it's God or the all-consuming love or whatever, the fire of this beauty, right? And we call it God. And then the devil, or the opposite of that, like, what I'm saying, that which is dark, which is negative, which wants to destroy you. Like, there's that aspect out there in the world too, you know what I'm saying? So we have these different things in our life as frames of reference. I mean, even the term angel, which I talk about in my book, it just means a messenger. We talk about, the interesting thing is I talk about like my relationship with my so-called demons that I've encountered in my adolescence has changed, where I was a victim, and they were out to get me. Now I'm thankful. I'm thankful to that creative power, which I call God, the all that is, that created this whole construct that we're in, right? Created it and holds it together. That force, I'm thankful that I was able to make it out of the depression. It gave me a purpose. I have a natural empathy for people who are going through it, right? My heart literally goes out to these people. I want to see them healed. I want to see them well, all of that kind of stuff. So my relationship over the years, how I look at those, even the dark forces has changed as well, which is the interesting thing. What I want to ask you is, does this still happen? So do you still have those night terrors, waking up with grotesque entities in your room and those kind of things? Some people they don't even want to see them. I remember when I would lay on my bed at night, I would sleep with a pillow over half of my face because I didn't want to wake up and see entities on the side of my bed. So I always slept with a pillow over my head. Has that stopped for you? Or is it continuing to happen?
No, it stopped now. It stopped. I haven't had an episode for about about 2 years, I would say, since I had an episode. But my nights are incredibly busy. I mean, right now, I mean, every night. I mean, I haven't had a full night's sleep now for about a year. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but if it's not 2:45, if it's not 2:50, if it's not 3:10, within that 3 o'clock realm, I'm awake. You know, and I would have woken up. Sometimes I can actually feel the pulling on my leg or my shoulder. Someone's kind of pushing my shoulder to wake me up.
Yeah.
I'm being woken up and I don't know what's going on. I don't have that full understanding
of who it is.
Even more, I don't, but it doesn't feel fearful. It doesn't feel foreboding. It's just like, you know, somebody would just shrug you, wake up, it's time to get up, you know, kind of thing. So that's been going on now for about a year. And as I said, I don't know the purpose of that. I'm still kind of asking for more understanding of that. My nights are my dreams are very vivid. It's almost like I'm speaking to you. I'm in my dream. It's that clear. To the point where sometimes I can get things happen whilst I'm awake that I'm thinking, am I in my dream? You know, it's that lifelike, it's that real. Yeah. So it's intensified. Things have got very much stronger for me in that way, you know. And I've put it out there that I'm open to this journey. I want to learn more. I want to understand and know more, you know, and I want to kind of take it to its fruition. I mean, I don't want to be like before where I was kind of blocking these things. I want to remain open and have more understandings and allow the downloads of knowledge and information. And I have very clear knowing. There are just some things I just know. So I want everything to continue and I want more understanding. So, yeah, I put that out there. I put that out there on the radio and I've put it out there non-physically, energetically. It's there. That bring it on. Yeah. You know? Because I, without a doubt, there is so much more going on.
Yeah, I'm probably like you. I get so many messages and people reaching out to me about this subject in particular because 1 in every 2 people have or are experiencing it. So people are looking it up and they're finding my work. I'm sure they're finding yours and your book and things like that, and they want answers. So people who are going through this and they haven't went through the other side, they haven't asked for the higher intelligences, the angels, the beings of love and light to assist them or help them, or just putting it out there. Hey, what do you want? What are you trying to say? What is it? The majority of messages I get where people will describe something to me and say, okay, what was it? And it's like they want me to give them the answer, but it's like, hold on, you got to ask. Ask what it is. Don't ask me. You need to, when it calls you at 3:33 in the morning, say, hey, what do you want? What is it? Yeah. And see what the message is and ask for, ask to be protected. You put that out there, your mind, ask for God, the universe, Jesus, whatever your power is to protect you. And then, let the chips fall where they may. But I mean, I can give you my experiences, my opinion of what it could be, but you have to engage it for yourself. That's the whole free will thing about it, right? So what would people do for their waking up, they're seeing beings in their room, they're being pinned to their bed, and they're like, okay, I'm ready to take the next step. I want to see what's going on. I want to engage the beautiful beings. I've dealt with the negative ones. How do I engage the higher vibrational beings? What would be the next step?
The mindset definitely needs to change. And there's one thing that you had said where you were saying you experienced sleep paralysis when you were 4 and you had watched a movie or something like that. And I clearly remember in my early days, I was liking the experience to Nightmare on Elm Street? Yeah. Where this guy would come in your dreams. He had these long blade thing and he would come for these young people. And I had watched that movie. There was a series of them. I had watched that as well as other dark movies. And I had somehow put that in my dreams.
Yeah, me too.
I had likened it. He's coming. Too. Kruger is coming. You don't understand.
And you can't let him kill you in your dreams because you really die.
That's right. Exactly. That was exactly it, But that was the framework that I had created, and perpetuated the experience. So for those who want to move past it, you need to find a way to shift your framework, your frame of reference, to move past the fear. So that might be definitely meditating is one, and trying to take back your power. Meditate, you'll build up energies, positive energies, focused energies, clarity through your meditation. Yeah. So that's important to do. If possible, you need to be around, if you can, if you're in a town, or you need to try and absorb as much natural energy as you can. The energies in busy towns and where it's a high population of people, you're absorbing all of that, all of those anxieties you're absorbing on a day-to-day, all of those frustrations from people and things around you, you're absorbing.
That's why they call to you in the morning like that when everyone's asleep, because the energies are down.
The energies are down. The energies are down, and that's the best time to absorb natural energies, new energies, natural energies. If you're in a busy town, you need to spend time in the parks. Go where the trees are. The trees and plant life and things release new natural energy, pure energy, with no angst or aggression or anger. They are releasing abundant energies.
Connected with nature.
Connected with nature. And that's all about abundance, more and more. It's just free.
New life.
New life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Try and absorb that. You've got to decluster yourself, go back to basics, so to speak, if you can. Try and, if you can do a journal, try and journal positivity. Don't focus on the negative. The negative begets more negative. Anger and frustration begets more. You can think of it also in terms of the law of attraction. The more that you think about these negative things, the more they will come on to you.
Yep.
Think about it. Think about changing the energy, uplifting and doing positive things. So if you journal, now's the time to journal positive things, aspirational things, happy, enlightened things. Stay from those negative, dark thoughts and energies. These are the things that you need to be doing to move away from that lower level vibration that is kind of coming to you. You've got to change your mind, change your mindset. For me, it was one of defeating and fighting it, but it needn't be that. It may just be about, I want the light, bring me to the light. I want more of that love. I want to feel that warmth. These are the things that you can be doing to move past it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Man, so much here. Like, it's funny because you're talking about like wanting to prepare yourself whenever you go into the dream state. And I'm going back to like Kruger. Like Freddy Krueger, like they would ready themselves. They would like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. If I start to, show symptoms, wake me up. It's kind of like what you did, telling your family, hey, if I'm panicking, y'all wake me up, this kind of stuff, and just relating it back to that movie. And my story sounds so similar to yours because, like, I remember getting into the lucid dream stuff and I didn't even know what it was. And it's simply being aware that I'm asleep and I can move around and I can, versus I'm just watching a movie like I'm a character in this other movie. Right? I am a character that I can. One thing I learned to do as a kid, now this is crazy that's going on in my head as a kid, is when I would be chased by Freddy or Jason, they would chase me and I would dive headfirst into a rock. Like if there was a rock, I would dive headfirst and kill myself and break my neck, and I would immediately wake up so the monster couldn't get me. Or I remember jumping in the water with Jason chasing me, and I'm swimming to the bottom to try to drown myself and hold on to like a stick or something that was in the mud, like trying to stay at the bottom. And they were conscious that I was trying to escape the dream, and he was trying to pull me out so that I couldn't kill myself, because I knew if they caught me, I would stay in the dream longer, and then they would be able to kill me or torment me, or I had to look at them face to face and all of these things. So I as a little kid, I knew how to wake myself up, and it was to kill myself in the dream versus letting them kill me. Like I would lose, and I would probably, have that dream for hours if they caught me and introducing me to other monsters and just crazy, like terrifying things. It's weird as a little kid you talking about opening the door to being lucid and being able to explore the other side. Like that was the entry point of how to use these muscles, right? That we are spiritual beings and we can tap into the other side. And it was through that stuff, which is very interesting. There's a lot of people who are experiencing that. But I'll say this, we're talking about like thinking about lofty things, beautiful things, the angelic, helping people, blessing people, those kind of things, like renewing your mind, all of this kind of stuff. There's a part of me, though, that I still like to go back and watch some of the scary stuff now. My relationship with it has changed. It invokes feelings and emotions in me that you only get from that kind of stuff. And some of the writing, even with some of the scary movies and stuff like that. Do you still watch any of that at all? Any of the old scary movies? Does it remind you of your adolescence? Do you just across the board don't deal with any of it at all? And I say that because I had this conversation with Dee Wallace, the mom from E.T., and she's a healer now. Yeah. She just what she does. She has a career in healing. She does seminars, webinars, one-on-one sessions, energy healing, communicating with angels and the angelic. But she still plays and stars in horror films in that genre. And it's like this dance with the light and the dark and being balanced and stuff. But you don't entertain any of that anymore, right?
No, I don't watch those movies. I just don't want them to become attached. Yeah. I'm not talking about energetically somehow caught in my net energetically to bring me back there. I mean, I do know that I've gone past it. So it's not going to be as intense as it was.
Exactly.
I have.
Your relationship changes with it. You look at it differently.
Exactly. But I don't want it to trigger, because I feel as though I'm quite sensitive energetically, and it's very easy for me to access that realm. But again, the relationship would be different, but I would nevertheless be accessing that realm, because I think that where I'm at now, I can access the positive as well as the negative realms that are around us. And I don't watch them at all because I don't want to tip that way, even though I can bring myself back to balance. Yeah. But the depth of that tip, and that experience, I'm not sure if my muscle, you've mentioned the muscle, and I agree with you that it's a spiritual muscle. I'm not sure if my muscle is strong enough to combat whatever is there. and that it may then bring other things. So I stick to the light, to the positive, and focus on that to bring in more positive. That's what I tend to do.
Yeah, there was a period of time where I was watching a lot of documentaries and things about the spirit realm, and really digging when I found out about a lot of this stuff and really wanting answers. And there's so much out there of where like spiritual technologies and entities and stuff like that in documentaries and stuff. And I found myself watching a lot of those like exorcist films, like some of the newer ones, but I would watch them as a researcher, as like these different scenarios. Like I think it was like one like the exorcism of Emily Rose. There was one called Devil, and it's dealing with like psychiatric problems and mental problems and medicine that would block people from getting healing, and some of these experiences were being induced because of their medicine and different things like that. So I found myself watching documentaries and then watching some of these movies, taking notes.
I think that it's like I said, if you give it that attention, you give it that power, and it then has the ability to kind of manifest itself in your life, So I do try, like I was saying, not to get involved in that, but recognize that the light has the power to defeat that. The light has the power to defeat the negative all the time. So if you firmly place yourself in the light, that negative stuff doesn't stand a chance, And if you're a religious person, then I suppose that that corresponds to like biblical kind of principles and godlike things, and also going back to these movies, it would always be a priest sometimes who is doing this exorcism with the water and the Bible and these, and I think we're all saying the same thing, but using different words to express it. That's how we get a clearer sight of what's going on, because other people are having these same experiences, but they've called it different things. There's maybe a different aspect that they talk about, like in Christendom they would just call them demons, right? It's just a demon, stay away. Well, even in the Bible, when my book focuses on a lot of biblical passages that show you how like the demons are just messengers, and you talk about these sleep paralysis encounters, and you describe them as a gift. When you're going through it, it seems like a curse. Like you said, you were like, why is this happening? What did I do? What did my family do? It seems like a curse, but now you look at it as a gift. It was a call to transcend the physical and tap into your spiritual heritage and your spiritual birthright, that there was something greater in it for you. And so I really do think we need to listen to everybody. I don't say believe everybody, but listen to their stories. And if it's true, at the end of the day, it's going to stick. If it's true, if it's people making stuff up or it doesn't work, then don't do it. But you find people, it's like this conversation we're having. I haven't talked to many people and who have shared this view. I want to read you just a little portion of what I wrote in my book. I said, I learned through my studies and personal experiences with these entities that they are sent to try to and place fear into the hearts and minds of those who are destined to do mighty things for the light. Most of the time, people have encounters with these beings when they are children. These beings come to try to rob them of their innocence. Many people I know who have had these encounters, here's the key, end up doing great exploits, serving humanity and spreading love in their adult lives. It seems as if they are marked at an early age by some type of dark force to try and keep them away from pursuing anything spiritual. And it tries to like scare you. There's so many people who are scared
to tap into the other side. They're scared to say, hey, who is that? They're trying to contact a holy man or a shaman or a priest. Hey, what's happening? I can tell you what's probably happening, but if you have to stop it yourself, you have to engage it yourself. If you want to go deeper, you have to let them know. Ask, seek, knock. Open the door, close the door, whatever it is. But just because it seems negative or it seems scary doesn't mean it's bad, right? Or mean that it's evil. That's the thing people have to understand. Just because it seems scary, I tell you what, being in the presence of some of the higher beings is pretty scary as well, with their aura and their majesty and their might. You can't even look at them. Like we're talking there. I mean, there's some interesting encounters that you're able to have, and I think this is a call. This is a spiritual birthright that people are called to, and I think they should pursue it. It's a gift at the end of the day, like you said. I really like that's the way you look at it, like a gift versus a curse.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting is what you've written in your book there, and we're definitely on the same page with this, And I will just share with you that the psychic stuff started with me when I was probably about 3 or 4. And it was my parents who recently was sharing stuff with me about things that I would see that they wouldn't see, about the friends that I would have that no one could see, things like that started very early on. And it's not until, much later now in life that I'm putting the pieces together. So what you're saying there in your book, it's just so true, what's going on. And I kind of like urge the listeners to just take it on board, that this could be such a blessing for you. I mean, but you've got to work it, got to just transmute it and transcend it. And only you can do it. Sleep paralysis is a deeply personal experience. If you experience it, then you know that no one can help you but you. No one. I mean, you know that. I mean, no GP, no friend. I mean, you're literally on your own with it, And the whole experience of kind of broadening your spirituality and becoming more spiritually enlightened, so to speak, is just like that. It's about you and you, You've got to really look at it and look at yourself and take it on board, and you can master it. The key thing, I think, is about free will. It will not happen if you don't want it to happen, but you've got to consciously put it out there that this is going to stop. The framework that I've created is going to be dismantled. I now want to transcend this experience, and I want some of that good stuff. I want to experience that love and that light that my higher self is calling me towards, because it's there. Something otherworldly is happening to you. Accept it. It's you, it's happening to you. You have been, I sometimes see it as you've just said, you've been selected to experience. It doesn't happen to everybody. It's happening to you. Accept that. And just work with that experience and see where it takes you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm thankful for it again, and it serves as a contrast now. I have a contrast. I know what the depths of utter darkness looks and feels like, sounds like, and I know what the beauty of the angelic, of higher level entities that have my best interest in mind look like. And you get to pick by the things that you're doing in your life, because you're going to attract the different levels. If you're doing like alms in secret, if your integrity is out of this realm and you tap into the spirit realm, when you go to sleep, you're going to have these type of encounters. If you're robbing, cheating, stealing, lying, all of these things, and you tap in, there's some entities that are ready to say hello to you as well. You're going to get to meet them. And I got to meet them as a little kid. And I help people transcend that kind of stuff too. But for me, it's a contrast. There's now, okay, that's what marvelous light looks like. That's what other darkness looks like. And I get to kind of see where I'm at right now, daily in this walk. So, Sheila, thanks for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, her book is Beyond the Nightmare, How to Transcend Sleep Paralysis and Awaken Your Spiritual Gifts by Sheila Pryce Brooks. You can go to SheilaPryceBrooks.com. I will put a link to get a copy as well in the show notes. My friend, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed this talk so much, and it was really good. Thanks so much.
And thank you too. It was an honor.
Anything else you want to share before we go?
No, I think that's it. I think we've covered everything, and people know how to get to me, to reach out to me if they want to. Just go to the website. There's so many links there, or Instagram, Twitter, I'm S Pryce Brooks. Pryce with a Y, by the way.
Yeah, you have a nice website, and you have a lot of info on the different things that come along with this that we've only just kind of scratched the surface with astral projection, being intuitive, opening your spiritual gifts. Again, I'm like you, like being able to hear, see, predict, all of these things as a kid. Didn't know what they were, didn't have a frame of reference. These experiences opened me up to that side, and I wrote about it in the book as well, and just having these experiences and stuff. So and we're not alone. That's the beautiful thing. Sheila, thanks for coming on. Really enjoyed it, my friend. We'll have to do it again.
Will do, definitely.
All right, my friend. Many blessings.
All right then, bye.
Bye-bye. Good stuff. Enjoyed it. SheilaPryceBrooks.com. Check out her book. Make sure you guys support. Let her know that you heard about her through the TruthSeekah podcast, man. Really enjoyed that. So many encounters in the light, so many encounters with the dark. Both sides. There is a contrast. I remember hearing about one of the dudes who discipled me early on when I became a Christian, told me of an experience where a demon crawled on top of him in the middle of his sleep, pinning him to his bed. He's panicking, trying to muster the strength to say the name Jesus, get the name Jesus out. And most people, the interesting thing is that as soon as you say the name of Jesus, these encounters stop. But it's hard to talk. You're half asleep. Your body is paralyzed. But as soon as he said the name of Jesus, the thing ran out the door. It was gone. But he said the same night, the entity went in the room with his dad and got on his dad. So they woke up the next morning, and one of them said something, and it was like, the same thing happened to me last night. Something was in our house last night. And I really am. I understand the dream state, signs and symbols, and we kind of give them a face. It's so big with symbolism in the dream state about what fear looks like. Again, for me, fear was, monsters from the movie The Gate. It was gremlins, it was critters and those kind of things. People experiencing that. But for someone who's never seen anything like that, when they're in the dream state, fear is falling off of a bicycle. Fear is being left at a store by yourself when you're a little kid, being abandoned. So fear comes to you in different ways in the dream state. But the interesting thing is when we tie it back into some of these early experiences with sleep paralysis is the fact that they're showing up as different types of entities. Some of them have been, there's a phenomenon called the old hag syndrome, where there was an old witch, an old lady screaming in your face. They wake up with an old lady screaming in their face. That's one of the experiences. Where does that come from? Where does that? That's definitely scary. Anybody screaming in your face when you wake up out of a dead sleep. I think that the whole fear with it as well is the fact that your personal space is being invaded, especially when you're asleep. especially when because you're vulnerable. You wake up and you can't move, and there's entities around you. There's one on you. You know, me and Danny talked about this. Shout out to Danny Guerrero. Make sure you guys go back and listen to our episode on this. We covered a lot of this stuff and got his experience on it as well. Shout out to Danny. But we covered, like, okay, if it's just a dream state and you're dreaming, as a lot of people are saying, you're just dreaming. So you're going to have all kind of stuff. Why isn't it a pink unicorn? Why isn't it a, man with an ice cream cone? Why is it a monster? Why is it an old lady? Why is it a gremlin? Why is it the object of fear? It's because you can't move, you get scared, and you immediately project what's going on. Like, you give it a face. Is that, it could be, I don't know. But you would think that there would be an overwhelming amount of reports of something beautiful. I woke up and there was an angel. Now, we've heard some stuff like that. People wake up and there's angelic encounters, right? But the majority of the time when it comes to sleep paralysis, it is something demonic. Again, like, I remember my cousin, and this is before I knew it was a thing, when we were little. He told me that he woke up in the middle of the night and there would always be a man who comes in his doorway, a shadow being, but he's wearing a trench coat and a top hat. And there's a man with a trench coat and a top hat. So when I'm little, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. That sounds weird, But it would come mess with him. And so when I go back to now, I'm thinking, like, the projection of what that comes from. Remember, I've actually got this costume in my closet. Remember the movie Puppet Master? There was a character named Blade who had a trench coat and a top hat, and he had a hook and a knife as hands. He's a little puppet. He looked like that. Is that projection coming from this character? During the time in the 80s, early 90s, where people were watching this movie, does that person become an object of fear, just like we both encountered Freddy in a dream state, and many other people? We're not alone. There's so many people who've had nightmares about Freddy. Do they, like, it comes through the minds and the creativity of a writer who birthed it into existence. Everybody watched it. Now they're having encounters with it in the dream state. Which is the really interesting thing. Again, my cousin seeing the man with the top hat, my mind immediately sees Blade from Puppet Master. Well, that's a thing. Like, that's one of the biggest things now, is the man with the top hat coming to people. Like, that's one of the most Googled things when it comes to sleep paralysis. Is this man? Who is this man with the top hat? Are they time travelers? I mean, we've heard so many different things. I haven't heard of anybody being, like, messed with or nothing. They're usually standing in the corner of the room or in the doorway and things like that. But anything that comes to you when you feel vulnerable, the lights are out. For me, again, like, there are those realms too where I think the mind you are asleep and you're just having a nightmare. So we got to throw that in there as well. I remember some of the most craziest nightmares I had were of me laying on my bed trying to go to sleep. And then finally I doze off. And my dream, it just transitions. Like, my dream is me laying on my bed trying to go to sleep. So I feel like I'm still awake, laying in my bed, and an entity will walk through the room. I remember this one, like a little gorilla, like some kind of gorilla demon, just about 4 foot tall. Could walk it in my walk right up to the edge of the bed, and, like, that was a dream. I don't think that really happened. I don't think that was an entity. There was other similar experiences where I'm laying in the bed trying to go to sleep again, fall asleep, and then there's this little. I've had the dreams of the little guys walking on my chest. You're late. You're tied down. I've seen so many movies over the years with this, Gulliver's Travels, I think it was, where, like, these little pixies tied the guy down and there's little pixies all over him. Maybe it comes out of the dream state. I don't know. Maybe it's because we've watched it and we create our reality, and we're sharing it with people, and other people are now experiencing it because you birthed it out of the dream state somehow, out of your writing. I mean, that definitely happens. I mean, it's happening with my music for sure. People are listening to it, and learning about so many terms and phrases, and their spiritual awakening is just like taking off because like things are starting to click. They're starting to see synchronicities and looking for angels in the sky and researching demons. And once you start looking for those things, whatever you're looking for shows itself to you. But you didn't have a frame of reference before you saw this movie, before you heard this song. Again, I got a song entitled Deliverance that talks about sleep paralysis. Really interesting. We did that song, man, it had to be like 2010 or so. We did a video for it. Make sure you check it out if you haven't. But I talk about sleep paralysis. I talk about waking up in the middle of the night and seeing entities in your room while you're half asleep. And I mentioned in the book of Job, I talk about it in the book, Job chapter 4. Job wakes up out of a dead sleep, and he's looking over in the hallway, and he sees this spirit floating. He sees this thing. He says that it kept changing shape. It was like, it said it never held one continual shape. It kept changing and morphing. And it said that it came to him, and it said that all of the hairs on his body stood up on ends. And when you see a spirit, that's what happens. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Your hair is an extension of your nervous system, and it's like spiritual antennas where you can sense things around you. The hairs on your arms, the hairs on your head. It is linked into your spirituality. And Job says that all the hairs, he got chills when he seen this entity. And he said it came to him in the middle of the night. Fear gripped him. And it said that the spirit relayed a message to him, and it was just sitting there moving, and it was, he didn't know it wasn't the spirit of a person he knew. It wasn't a monster. It was a mist. I've had similar experiences, like waking up and then you see that shadow, and then it just starts moving, but it's a messenger. The word angel is messenger in the Hebrew. And it means something that carries a message. It doesn't have to have a form. It doesn't have to, be a hierarchy or a rank of. We think of an angel, we think that they look like men with wings and blonde hair and swords, and they all look like that. No, messengers are an essence, and they get to change shape. These messengers are appearing as fear. They change shape. They look like something for you. They look like something for me. But their essence is formless and void. Just like the angelic are in heaven. They are made out of fire. But when they come to the earth, they can take upon whatever appearance they want. Usually the appearance of men. And we're entertaining angels unaware, as the book of Hebrews says. But they communicate a message. How? Telepathically. They send those messages to you. And so we've talked about stargazing and seeing the angels travel the night sky and stop and communicate. They speak telepathically. They give you what we call downloads. There's ancient art of UFOs sending little beams to people's minds. And there's a dove. They're sending thoughts to people, downloading this ancient Renaissance art with UFOs and light ships sending messages to people. Go out. We're going out tonight. Tonight is the new moon for anybody who is watching this live. I'd like to go out on the new moon, and especially considering the times right now, I'm going to go out. Pollution is down. We should be able to see a lot. So we're going to go out tonight and stargaze and ask the Father. He's the Father for me. Ask the Father for a sighting, if He'll show us the angels. Are there more that are for us than are against us? So we're going to do that tonight. If anybody wants to do that, I'll probably do a Zoom chat. Everybody just go out wherever you are. I'll do a Zoom chat so we can get into some prayer and ask for a sighting, ask for the, whatever you want to call them, the ships or the, whatever you want to call them, whatever I won't call them ships. I'll call them chariots. We'll ask for the chariots to descend and say hello. So, we need it right now more than ever to know that we're not alone, that we're taken care of. So anybody who wants to get in on that, hit me up in Discord. And if you're not listening to this live, hit me up again to be notified the next time we do it. We've done it in the past, and I've put it out there, and we had a lot of people show interest in the CE5 initiative, going out and saying hello. So I'm going to do that tonight, really for myself, but I'm extending the invite. So anybody who wants to come, just join our Discord, and I'll send the link out later on. Yeah, this is a deep subject indeed. Telepathic communication within your dream state, telepathic communication with these spirits and entities, and how they show up, formless and void. Got a new, I wouldn't say a segment, but we're going to, I got some things in the mail, and I'm going to open these letters here live and read them and see what they are.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
Hello. All right. So, got some stuff in the mail here. I'm going to open it. Usually I get a lot of books from different publicists and things, and potential guests and guests who are coming on. So I'm going to open this up and see what they are. Anybody who wants to send mail, if you read in the description at the very bottom, there's a P.O. box there that you can send anything. People send fan art. They make stuff all the time and send it as well. So shout out to Christy. Thank you for the donation, my friend. She says CE5 tonight. Make sure y'all join. But yeah, I got a bunch of cool fan art, man, that I've gotten over the years, and gifts and stuff like that. But this is probably a book from a upcoming guest or potential guest. Anita. There we go. And this is, let's see. Yes. So this is a book from Ron Jones called The Merger, 2 Atoms, 1 Destiny. He reached out to me after I did a podcast with someone along the same lines, and he was like, hey, check out this explanation. And it was about the Jesus saying that you shall do greater things than me. And so we had a podcast on that, and he was like, hey, I actually covered this, and this is what I feel like he meant. So he sent me his book, and we have him scheduled for the podcast. It's going to be good. The 2 atoms, 1 destiny. I talk about this a lot in my music. The second atom descending, and with the first atom messed up, the second atom made right, which is Christ, right? So what Adam messed up, Christ came and reversed the curse of the fall to bring us back into paradise with the Father. It's good stuff. So I'm looking forward to this episode. Looking forward to getting into this book. Thank you, Ron. Ron Jones. That episode's coming up soon. All right. And I have another one here from a listener, patron, friend. And hopefully it's not, if it's I don't know. I'm not going to try to get, but this is from Richie Breath. Richie, ZYX. What up, Richie? And it's a letter. He says, good day. I really appreciate all the work and art you create. Both ESP, EP, and Colors are recent favorites. Connecting to your podcast has brought a lot of positive presence to my life. Many thanks for you. Many thanks for your realness, health, from Billings, Montana. Please accept this as a token of gratitude. May you find all truth. Richie ZXY. Thank you, my brother. And he sent this cool sticker which says, remember to breathe. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that, man. Look forward to connecting with you. Need to get you on here as a guest as well, man, because you are just a wealth of knowledge, bro. You have so much to offer, and we need to take it to the next level, man. Need to get you on here as a guest and promote what you got going on. Thanks for believing in the work. Thanks for supporting on Patreon for as long as you have. Thanks for being a member of the community. You rock, Richie. Thanks so much. And that I mean, right now, that's what we need. Remember to breathe. With everything going on with the corona and all that kind of stuff, it's interesting that it affects your breathing. The breath is the essence of God. It's the word of God, is the breath that we breathe. It's literally the air that's around us in the kingdom of heaven, which animates all life. And we all share that one breath, and we're going to return to that one breath because that's what we are. This body will return to the dust. The breath returns back to the giver, the essence in which gave it, which animates all life. The Bible says that without breath, no man can stand, no man can live. And then let all things that have breath praise the Lord. Remember to breathe. I think that the praise just is in the breath of understanding that each breath is approached with thankfulness. Each breath is embraced with an attitude of gratitude, and I'm thankful. So let's all do that together here at the end of the TruthSeekah podcast. Let's take a deep breath, but not just a breath. It's conscious breathing, and we're thankful that where this breath comes from, that we're able to claim ourselves on the earth, that God still has potential for us. We still have a mission. There's a reason for us to be here. And that gratitude that goes back changes everything. Let's do it together. 3, 2, 1. Breathe in through the nostrils. Peace of God, rest of God. Release any worry, doubt, fear to go. Conscious connected breathing is so powerful. Thank you, Richie. Shout out to you, man. I see you in chat, bro. Thanks so much. Breathing is key. Take a second and breathe, man. Get into the scriptures, man. See what God will say for you in this season. See what God is saying in this hour. Forget what the conspiracy theorists are saying. Forget what the government is saying. See what God is saying to you in this hour. Engage through the breath. Engage by opening up the scriptures, learning his heart, learning what he's got going on, and let that fear be crushed in Jesus' name, man. Thank you, guys. Join us tonight. The CE5 initiative. It's going to be good. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. Love y'all. Peace, peace.
Your will is so much higher than mine. So much higher than mine. So much deeper than mine. So much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.